Well, welcome future viewers back to the stream. We're gonna keep working on this Mountain Monastery map today. And I put out a tweet, so maybe we'll get some healthy conversation happening too. We'll see. So, just getting my streaming environment set up. A little bit of playful music in the background. Whew. And let's get into it. You'll have to excuse me if I seem a little low energy today. We've had like a really long non-stop storm that makes a real racket at night. And we've had our neighbours have been particularly noisy too, so I'm a little behind on sleep, I think. Besides that, I just haven't had my coffee yet today. That's why I've got a 2-hour limit on this stream. After that, I'm going away for a coffee. So, we've got our reference image group here. This is just a bunch of kind of the Japanese painterly style that we're going to try and replicate. Most of all, these mountains here, which basically have this hard edge and then a watercolory looking gradient underneath them. This one too. It's like a dark edge here, fading away into its texture and cloudy stuff. And here too, in the background here, with probably a little details like these mountains have. This is another option, but I think that's just a little too easy. I want to go for this watercolory look. So, the question in my mind, which is kind of delaying my starting, is how best to go about it. How many layers to break this up into, because I got a few right now. And we did make a start on this building. Maybe we'll keep that, maybe we won't. For now, we're gonna throw it away. Oh, hey Felix. Good evening. Yep, good morning from here. It's only 10 to 11 here right now, which is bright and early for me. I think what I might just do is jump in with a lasso tool and just see what happens. At least maybe it's just to warm up even. But if I select oh gosh, I'm really rusty this morning, excuse me. So I guess that's a roof there. And then we can just kind of maybe use that watercolory brush that I use sometimes. Where do I keep that? Here it is. It's labeled grass, but it's really not. We just kind of block in the top. Oh, I'm not sure why I made that selection when I just have this mask to work with. Might be all there is to it, is just doing these watercolory layers, kind of foggy layers, though I think this entire building with the exception of maybe we'll define this roof bit here. I think this whole building, perhaps this whole kind of peak will be the same kind of brush group, kind of smudge group. So let's just play around for a bit, see what happens. Probably much better suited brushes out there, but I'm kind of a little bit stubbornly sticking to my own brushes right now, because I think I could pull it off, right? But I've done watercolor before to decent effect. red layers distracting me. Yeah, because we can kind of see that mountainy effect that we're going for. Even you're a bit distracting. It is possible to do too much smudge and it just kind of lose the effect. There's some kind of in between no smudge at all and too much smudge, where it's kind of like the prime watercolor effect. Yeah, 12 hours ahead, I know. Yeah, so at least I was planning originally on doing this stream later today after the coffee, because I was kind of tossing up. This is what goes through my head is, do I do a stream before coffee when I'm kind of low energy, not the hey guys welcome back to the stream kind of personality, or do I wait until after the coffee when everyone's asleep and I'm a little more juiced up? But I figure giving more people the opportunity to tune in was the way to go. So this is, I'm kind of liking this look so far. If we can pull this off in multiple different layers, like I've been planning, for all these different parts of the painting, then this could work. I've already got everything isolated, so let me just work with this, like even more faint. Yeah, chill works for you, that's good. It's chill's not the only problem I run into. Well, I take a long time to wake up, and during that time there's not a lot of useful things I have to say, but let's just chill together and have a good time that way. So I'm wondering now if I should get something in my eye. These layers here, so these are my big old layers. I think I need to break them down into even smaller pieces. Like here, maybe I'll cut right across here. After this is all done, this will be kind of our smoky outline silhouette layer. After this we'll come in and put in kind of like we started down here, some kind of defined edges. Because I imagine that's the process when people do these paintings, is you got your big watercolor brush and you block in these big shapes, and then you have a different brush which you later on use for these more intricate shapes. That's what I imagine. In any case, I like our chances of pulling off a modest something that resembles it. I should really change this to white though, so we're painting with the right color. Okay, so I was talking about separating this into small pieces. I think we might even take a more manual approach and just kind of paint mostly on the one layer. Could be risky, but it could pay off. Just like this, and then we'll paint in our watercolory shape, splodge it in there with that fadey bit at the bottom, and then with the kind of erase tool, hack it back down to the shape that we want. Good work, good work. The masks just make things so much easier generally speaking. But I kind of get stuck in a mask mindset, and I can't do anything outside of masks, so this, maybe it'll be a decent exercise in, you know, painting the normal way, without masks everywhere. So let's give it a shot. Not getting served the most appropriate music today, are we? This is just kind of static noise. So I don't think I need these layers enabled. Let's just... In fact, the white's a little bit too crazy bright for me right now, so let's just get a low contrast color in here. I want to give myself a headache first thing in the morning. I'm sure you all appreciate it too. So, okay, so let me think, Ross. Let me think in broad shapes, because the look that I want is that these peaks are heavily shrouded in fog, so it's just the silhouettes that are super visible. So I think I'm going to work with much larger shapes than I've started with here, and then later on I'm going to come in and block in, probably with masks, these little rooftops poking out and all the little torii gates and the other important details. So for now I need to work with a bigger brush. Let's work with broad strokes for now. Big shapes, broad strokes. That comes down to here, huh? So basically our outline is going to be one big block, and we're going to convert this into a pretend watercolor by basically smudging up the edge. I want this bigger too. And then I'm going to pull like a middle tone out of there, just to give it a... just to soften some of these areas, I guess. Maybe not all of them. Just to control the gradient more finely than I can do with this smudge brush. I think another important element will be giving this whole piece like a paper texture. Yeah, that's a rather important element in watercolor paintings, is the actual texture of the paper showing through. So, all by itself, you can start seeing the foggy look that I'm going for coming in. So we are going to have more details in here. We're going to get, this will probably be like a rather low opacity, and then we'll have a high opacity. Like imagine if this building were up here, maybe something like this, or maybe it will even be like cut out. Hold on, that needs to be like a erase. It's an interesting idea. Not very true to the style, but we'll see. Well, what we'll probably actually do is just have it the exact same color, but then strategically, let's see about this, kind of give it its own silhouette, like this, right? Yeah, dark and moody. We're not going to keep this background color, it's going to be much more black and white. This background color is just to be kinder on my eyeballs. I quite like this music. That's gonna send me back to sleep. so I think I am going to work with layers because we're going to keep this as kind of... Well, what we'll do, we'll separate our broad strokes of the brush, that pretend watercolor brush, into these layers. Not exceptionally watercolor, is it? Because watercolor has other elements to it. Usually like a hard edge. It does have a gradient, but there's usually a hard edge. But you can also see here how important that paper texture is to watercolor. You can kind of compare with my little bit peeking through here. Yeah, so it's going to be approximate, but it's going to do the trick, I think. And we can maybe... Oh, where am I? Ah, I'm smudging. That's what's happening. We can kind of simulate watercolor too. Just sparingly, we don't want this to surround the whole bit. But you can see it can be done. Usually there's like a little darker edge to a watercolor splodge where the ink kind of gathers. This bit here, where you have a hard edge and a soft edge, it's kind of that balance of hard and soft edges that can pull it off, I think. So you're just kind of mixing hard and soft edges kind of in equal portions, perhaps. That'll do well. That'll do well enough, anyway. So we're kind of jumping the gun on this. I just wanted to demonstrate what was going through my head. Yeah, okay, so feeling better and better the more we get into this. I wasn't 100% sure when we started out that I could pull this off, but if all we did was continue this method, then it will be good enough. So from here it's all uphill. We've achieved the minimum that I wanted to achieve. So yeah, later on I'll come play with these edges some more. I also feel like a small smudgy brush just to... I don't really like the cloudiness. It's a bit too much cloudy, a bit not enough gradient. So I'll take some more smudging in here. It's probably a better way. And I know, of course, that there are watercolor brushes that you can just download off the internet. But, you know, it's good to make life hard for yourself once in a while. Yeah, okay, so that's probably good. There's probably more elements to this edge of the watercolor. And I guess they are pretty stark. They do have that darker outline. I can maybe simulate that with the blending style. And I think, in fact, there's another element to it, like, let's find our brushes again. Like, there are kind of harder edges in here. Hey, Brachiozoid, welcome to Twitch chat. Happy to have you. So, like, within the brush strokes, the brush puddle, watercolor splodge, all those strange terminologies I've been using. There's kind of secondary splodges where either a second brush stroke has been made or the ink slash paint has just gathered there all by itself, kind of following the contours of the paper, I guess. So this big splodge, this will be our testing ground, and then we'll take what we learn and do the rest of the splodges rather soon. For a stronger silhouette and then fading away. Yeah, exactly. I just want to get the fine details of how watercolor works working. But yeah, it will serve well for a foggy mountain monastery. Foggy? Is it foggy if it's clouds, real clouds? Is there a different term for that? Cloudy? It's a cloudy mountain monastery. Yeah, like that looks like a pretty good smudge to me. So I'm kind of learning little tricks I can do with this smudge brush. Like, in theory, I could put just like a drop where a little drip has fallen off the brush onto the parchment here. Let's see. So if I just smudge within this area, kind of pushing towards the edges, that gives us a pretty good watercolor effect. And then very sparingly push in from the outside to give soft edges too. Okay, well, I'm pretty happy with this one. This is a bit distracting for now. Next, let's pick out the next layer, the next broad brush stroke that we want to work on. So here's our draft. And I guess we're probably just going to forget about all these that we did last time. No, I could probably use this one. But I definitely want one between this one and the top one. Like probably this mountain path. That'll be a nice diagonal shape. And probably these rooftops too, I think. These background buildings, I'm gonna have to send them backwards later. So anyway, let's just pick out a unique color so I can see what I'm working on. And very vaguely, I keep trying to dive in with a smudge tool instead of the paintbrush tool. So I pretty much want this one to follow maybe this outline. Let me send you away for now. Maybe heading up here, up this house, and then this one. Not sure why I would go up there actually. Bit beyond the capabilities of my brain right now. Uncaffeinated brain. So yeah, so all I'm thinking about is what's closer to the foreground, what's closer to the background. So this is closer to the foreground. Yeah. I was kind of getting mixed up by what's like separating these by elevation, but no, it's strictly foreground, background stuff. So yeah, pretty much this stuff is in the foreground enough. Maybe like a line down here. Maybe we'll also define like this rounded shape here as a brush stroke. I'm also thinking whether I should bother outlining the buildings right now, or if I should leave that, or when I go back in and block in the building kind of silhouettes separately. I think let's do them separately, huh? No, in fact, they should probably happen now since they're going to be part of this brush stroke. Yeah. Give me... Try and steer clear of the lullaby music. Just a little too calm. To be fair, maybe you folks in America are using this stream as a lullaby. But I, for one, am trying to stay awake. Okay, so just kind of fill in this bit a bit so that I can grab a bigger brush in a little bit. Now. So I'm still just defining the mask. This blue isn't going to stick around for long. Neither is the red. Okay, that's probably enough space. Let's just give us some more here just in case. And then I want to bring this one back. Not that one, this one. Yeah, I guess maybe we came down a bit too far on that one. That's alright. We can incorporate it. And then I'm going to convert this into like a layered group. We can make this one just a little bit transparent to suggest the push it back into the background, basically. And now, oh, I guess I shouldn't have done that. Oh yeah, sure, why not? Now we can start with this second big brush stroke. Kind of need to find where it is. Here it is. Okay, looking at this little thumbnail over here, I'm feeling better and better about how this thing's going to turn out. Let's just keep this draft on for a little bit so that I can work in like this kind of shape. This roof here, no, that's going to be our next layer. So this brush stroke isn't going to be as broad as this one. wonder if I should try. Yeah. First step, we're just blurring it to high heavens. And then we can always go back and add these little kind of hard lines afterwards. So we're kind of following the same, or I imagine we're following the same sort of workflow that somebody actually watercolor painting like this would. It's just that we have to spend extra time turning these Photoshop brush strokes into something that looks like watercolor. If I kind of paint little circles with my brush, kind of works a little bit better than this general cloudy stuff we have. Just kind of larger shapes, I guess. See, right here, sometimes that insanely random brush we use, this grass brush, sometimes it can push out something that resembles watercolor by itself, but usually we have to finesse it some more. I wonder if we'll probably have some luck if we use it as our edge like this. Yeah, that's rather okay. I think I still want some just smooth edges. Just a little bit too crazy. That's pretty close. I also think this shape might be a bit too big. What is that in our line art? It's this face. So I think we want the face to kind of... We can suggest a 3D shape to the face if we kind of work back this part of the brush stroke. Oops. Bless you. I wonder if these faces we put in the mountain side are gonna survive this painting style, or if they're just gonna be lost completely. Depends how much detail we go for with our detail line strokes. But it is possible that they'll just be forgotten. Okay, that's pretty happy. Happy. So these are our first two brush strokes. There'll probably be two more, perhaps. Let's put you down to 50 and we'll work our way up from there. Okay, the next one I think is going to follow this line. So let's convert you into a layer group. Does this chair go lower? A little bit. This is like a fun little step, is rediscovering these lines. What is that? Is that a little tree? Is that our little garden? Yeah, it is. Okay, so I think we can kind of suggest this big flat area here, this plateau. This is going to kind of fade out to a cloud over here, so it's not too important what happens over here. But I think it is important that we kind of use this brush stroke to define our traversable terrain. Perhaps that here. Or are we gonna have, yeah, maybe another one still just for this bridge system? Yeah, I think the bridges will have their own layer. So this will kind of fade down into the cliff a tad. This is what I paid the big dollars for when I bought this PC, was to use this smudge brush so liberally. My little Microsoft Surface does not enjoy the smudge brush. I've got to say we're doing a better job than some of the watercolor brushes I've used in the past. Taking some doing, but I like the effect that we're getting. We can maybe like mix in some areas here, just some little rivers in the ink. Like that. Yeah, it doesn't look too grand, does it? Maybe just needs some more fidgeting. Yeah, I guess that's okay. Looking at this little thumbnail, making sure like the general composition is right, the shapes I mean, making sure the shapes look interesting in there, they're not kind of awkward. Right now it's kind of an awkward shape down here. But that looks better. I wonder this round shape, that will make more sense with lines on it, since that's where that head shape is going to go. At the back of my mind, I kind of wonder if this is too artsy-fartsy for like using at a D&D group. Like these buildings, they're going to have detail on them, more detail than now. But I imagine if you want a town map on your table, yeah, you want something rather more practical, more functional than this. But, you know, we'll see. So anyway, I want the bridges and kind of the... Basically this just needs... Basically we can use this brush stroke, probably. Or maybe a different one over here. To fade into cloud. Actually, I think we're going to use a different one over here. Maybe... I think this layer would be appropriate for it. Basically, we just want to take this dark area down and have it follow these bridges. And then it's going to fade into cloud up here, so that our little town name can have its little window. Okay. Oh, the square brush. Yeah, I love the square brush. Old Reliable, I call it. I think its actual name is Sample Brush. number 10, but I call it old reliable. One of these days I'm going to organize these darn brushes, trust me. I think we need a fade down here, perhaps. How does this look without this? So if it makes sense without the line art, then it's achieving its goal. No, I quite like that. We've got a bridgey shape in there. Like, that's the goal, is to have buildings and bridges discernible right now. Now, something we've done completely by accident down here. This looks amazingly like watercolor, doesn't it? But that's the problem with the smudge brush, is it's mostly just luck, whatever your computer decides to do with it. Occasionally it looks great, like watercolor smudgy textures down here, and occasionally it just looks like haphazard clouds. So often I just like Control Z smudge brush a billion times until I get something that looks good. So it's 11:30 a.m. here. I'm going to take off at 12:45. I'm not really saying that to you guys. I'm just keeping track in my head. Okay, so before we move on, let's separate these background buildings into their intended layer. Which is going to be easier said than done. I think I'm going to have to... Interesting. I think I've worked myself into a bit of a corner here. I guess if we just create a layer, let's make it a green for now so I know where I am. And I include this. Okay. Yeah, that's okay. So we can use this as our way in the background layer. And basically I want to take you. Give me a duplicate. But something like this. If I get rid of these awkward colors, then I can... Okay, I got the layer order a bit wrong, but it's fine. There we are. Okay. Maybe this cloud shape down here. Since we're working with this strange background layer, I'm going to keep it over here. This is basically just working our way back. I guess I could just color over the color layer. I can play around with this mask, but it's alright. So where is our sign going to go? It's going to go here. So basically I want to put this bit in the clouds and just expand this big sea of clouds up here a bit too. And also down and way over here, so that's a bit too much. Did I just ruin that bit that I was talking about? Loving? Oops. Well, Shogunai. It's fine. It's fine. It's just a little corner down there. It was my little pet. Nobody else would have noticed it. Now, I also have to make sure this makes sense, because it's not like the artist is painting in white back over here. This is just supposed to be like an occlusion in the... I keep saying occlusion, but I don't think that's the right word. This is just supposed to be where this brush stroke didn't happen to go. So I feel like there should be some there. Basically, we're just erasing away from this. That's what I need to keep in my mind. Although I do like, there's one reference image, this one, where there's this kind of middle color between the clouds and the mountains, this kind of transitionary color. So we can probably, we've kind of got it going on here. We can probably use it a bit more. I guess we want to use it rather sparingly, so this is pretty good as it is. Need to be wary of over smudging the thing, so let's keep it like this for now. It's an interesting shape, isn't it? So I guess it's going to be a strange thing if we start trying to define these faces. I wonder if that's something we should even attempt. A bit lost in my layers right now. Where are we? Down here? Because I'm kind of thinking underneath this one. Hold on, where was I? I think we need to fill this area in. Not quite so far, but maybe up to here, right? So we're kind of splitting this cloud up into several different layers, which is rather foolish, but it's alright. Like that makes more sense to me, although it will be like down here. Okay, it's interesting. We're gonna have to actually bring it all the way up to here, won't we? Maybe I should convert this one. That's like a rather interesting color scheme, isn't it? I quite like the clouds too. Oh, it's very cool. Kind of reminds me of when they have like a gold color underneath. Fancy stuff. But anyway, I'm going to use this color This one. It's like a general mountain shape background color. Depends. Depends. I think we just need something in here. Like this shouldn't be like a full gray, perhaps. Maybe it should. I'll keep you in my back pocket. I might change my mind later. But I think I need to look at the reference images a bit so we don't kind of lose our place. Like I think I can afford a painterly outline, some vague shapes. Let me see. This is what I'm thinking about here. See how this mountain has like an outline where he's gone in with another brush over the top of the watercolor shapes and painted in this outline, which kind of has the dual purpose of being trees and bushes and stuff. I think I can do that. I think I can do that without ruining it. And really there's no risk involved. At some point I'm going to have to change all of these purple layers into like my final color, which is going to be a bit of a hassle. So square brush, I think it's your time to shine. Just doing a very like all this would be, because I did mention I want my buildings to stand out more, so I think this is our opportunity to do that. Because originally I was imagining this style here for the buildings, which is very black and white, isn't it? So maybe I'll be erasing these kind of in-between colors. But that's kind of what I want to go for here, is that detail brush. So I'm just going to do the pagoda, then I'll step back and see if it is achieving what I want it to. It's not an easy question to answer. What I prefer. Easy enough to erase later, so I'm going to keep it for now. And this is going to have to be, this is kind of like all of the brush stroke, but it's still rather watercolory. So at places it's going to smudge, at other places it's going to be rather defined. I guess, in my mind, is it a watercolor brush or is it a brush pen kind of brush? Good question. That one's definitely watercolor here, whereas these ones are definitely brush pen on top of like a watercolor. Not exactly sure what the method was, but it looks like watercolor. This one also looks like, could be either way, I guess. Kind of looks more like watercolor. Anyway, the draft needs to come back so you can kind of see what we're looking at. In any case, I am going to need this for defining like the important buildings, like this gate here. So I think this pagoda won't look so strange once we've just got more elements painted in this style. Let's just bring it up to like here. Fun stuff about replicating a brush pen is that you get to be rather messy on purpose, a little bit haphazard. Oh, let's not lose this Tory gate. I was going to put another big gate up here. That one I might change my mind on, since if we do put it in, it's going to really rather confuse this building. So I think we're going to forego that gate here and just have these two as two different entrances to this entire complex. Hopefully that makes sense. I'm still not entirely sure what the rules in real life for Tory gates are, but hopefully it makes sense. Hopefully it works. We'll see. Somebody will call me out if it doesn't. This one needs to be a little taller. I also think the style with the peaks at the edges, I think that's rather specific to certain shrines. I know the Fushimi Inari shrine has 1 billion of these, but I can't say for certain whether all the gates I've seen have them. Now I wonder if drawing stairs in this layer would be just too much. Like, I think this level of detail is appropriate, slash this level, because it does clearly define a building here. And you can tell it's one building. It serves the purpose of being clear and functional, which was my concern earlier, that the map was just a bit too abstract for use at the table. But if we stick with this, and then I think we will have to block in our stairs, because it will be important that pathways are very clear. Since, you know, the goal of this map is for player characters to run around on it. So the players need to be able to clearly see what's traversable and what's a building, what's worth visiting. Like just a strictly foggy mountain, like if we were to call it done now at kind of this point. This is kind of fun as an artistic piece, but You know, you couldn't really use it at the table because you can kind of see some buildings. Kind of. This is kind of looks like a bridge, but other than that, it's useless. So we need to block these in with here. This is a building. Here's the way to the building. Here's the pagoda. That sort of thing. And I rather like this style. I think the pagoda is a bit overcooked, but this kind of controlled number of lines. I think that's the way to go. And these little nodules here can be our lion dogs. For the keen observer. I'm like almost trying to add mistakes into my line art so it does look more natural, not like it was painted digitally. And in hindsight, I could have this line here is kind of a maybe line. I'm not sure if we'll keep it or if we might just break it up into bits like we did here. Getting very kind of brush pen down here. It's kind of, if you want to simulate a pen, basically you just want to simulate all the little accidents that happen when you kind of linger on one spot and the ink wells out into this big globule. I've worked with ink enough that I kind of know what it looks like. Enough to replicate it. I hope I do. See, it's awkward because I've because I was kind of painting in proximity to this one, I was giving it more detail than it really needs. I want to keep our buildings very ghostly, like this one. So let's go back. Let's just take it back to an outline. Then maybe suggest some extra layers. But these buildings are like further in the background, further away in the clouds. So I think it's pretty much done, just like that. These background ones, in any case. Maybe we'll go to the Torii Gate like there. Excuse me. And then I need to turn off the draft layer and just look at what we have and make sure it's doing its job without the help of the draft layer underneath it. Not sure what I think of these stilts anymore. But, on the other hand, I do think we are working with enough detail that we can incorporate the faces in the mountainside back in. So out of interest's sake, let's look at this in like the final white color. I think the high contrast, that's important to the whole effect. So not bad. And it'll look much better with the paper texture over the top too. Very purple. I guess I can do something like that eventually. Yeah, maybe that will resemble the finished product. With the little preview images I have to work with look okay. Hmm. This doesn't at all look steep enough to warrant a staircase, does it? I guess we can kind of remedy that now. Let's have a few steps here, then like a flat gap, and then a steeper bunch here. This little path here too. There's a couple of different little paths in case you want to make an encounter out of this map, I guess. You can have a couple of different ways up the mountain. Some more suitable for like carts, some more suitable for people on foot. And this one kind of scares me. I'm imagining walking up this narrow staircase with a drop on your left and a drop on your right. Ugh. Not sure if these brush strokes disappearing off the side of the canvas is accurate. Because if you're painting with a brush pen, you're not exactly flicking off the edge of the canvas, you're stopping before the edge. Yeah, well, that said, I guess these ones cropped with like this is what I'm imagining here, where this line ends before the edge. But actually looking at it, I guess it's not really the case unless the digital version I'm looking at is. But yeah, I think we can get away with it. Let's remember to hit save every once in a while. I think we can get away with defining this edge of the face. It's going to be a hard maybe for me, because we're not going to add in all these cliff lines I put in the draft. I don't think we're going to have those. In fact, they do look pretty good here, so maybe we will. Just sparingly, strategically selected ones. Yeah, I think that looks good. Which does give us more license to hide these faces in the cliffside. Since if they were the only definition on the cliffs, then they wouldn't be hidden at all. But since we have these other lines, we can kind of smartly hide some eyes and stuff. We'll see what they look like at the end. Maybe they'll just not have enough definition, not be worth it. Be completely lost in the cliff sides, but if they're a decent balance between hidden and visible, readable to the eye, then we'll keep them. I want this kind of edge up here too. Right now I think it's readable. This bright bit we did on one of these layers helps the matter. There it is. So I think we're going to have to more closely follow this line. Okay, well, we're kind of missing stuff as we go down. I guess the question is, we still haven't done anything with these trees. I still think these trees are going to be our color block. Since I like this style, we're going to have black and white everything, except we'll use a big bold color like this for these three trees. And probably this label as well, since that'll give like a good balance in the canvas. All the color won't be up in this corner. It'll be more spread out. Probably these three labels too. I like having a label for each temple as well. I think that's a good idea. Kind of want to... Let's ease off on this pagoda, shall we? Excuse my phone. Maybe these bands would be appropriate. It's not too much. But it's something more than an outline, so I think that's pretty good. Might change my mind again later, we'll see. And this building we almost missed. Quite like this style where the roof blends into the walls, except for these highly shaded archways. You can kind of hear hinted a step where the door would be. That was the thinking I had earlier. This might just be in shadow here, right? Makes sense. Just got real cold all of a sudden. Still crazy weather outside. Last few days, I mentioned it at the start of the stream, so it's probably news for most viewers, but last few days here has been crazy stormy. It's really odd to have a storm that lasts longer than a day here. So I think that's the right amount of suggesting a face, just a horizontal line for an eye. And like this kind of shadow also does it. I mean, let me try and speak. If anything, they're a little too obvious, but it's not a bad thing. I mean, we never really are set on making these a little hidden Easter egg. They might just be super obvious for the casual viewer, and that's okay. Well, I like where this is going. I do. That eye's pretty odd. Oh, excuse me. Music too relaxing. I'm falling asleep. Yeah, just working our way down. I don't know why I put this within the mask layer. I suppose we could just put it out here. Although I've kind of made a mess of things. Well, actually, I can fix that. Not like that. Yeah, and now I can put the trees on this layer too. Although, you know what? Now that I think about it, maybe the trees shouldn't have this layer, but instead just be a big color block, right? Without any lines around them. I think that would look cool, but I have to see. So I'm just going to create a mask for them. And then let's draw some trees. There's a nice break from the line art. And they're gonna be a deep red for now, but subject to change. I think we can probably get away with just this. Here's the question is, are they watercolor? Or are they some kind of stamp? Some kind of other kind of paint? Probably have to reference our images. Yeah, that one's pretty clearly watercolor, isn't it? This one is a bit iffy, but yeah, they're gonna be watercolor. So let's apply our blobby watercolor effect to them. But first, let's just block them in. Vaguely, so we can get rid of this layer. And then just give them their little watercolor imperfections. And I think for this layer, as much as my eyes are going to protest, I need a light background, otherwise I'm not going to be able to see what I'm doing. Just doing those little circular hand motions I was talking about earlier. Get rid of all these feathery edges that aren't very watercolory. Now originally I imagined like a ribbon of leaves billowing over here. I wonder how one would paint that in watercolor. Maybe just little droplets. That's interesting. We can just use the corner of our brush here with a light touch and get the same sort of effect, just like a more manual, deliberate effect. Just rough up the edges so they're not a hard line. And I think that looks pretty good. There was another thing I wanted to do, another step. That was just to kind of darken up, give it an area where the ink has really set in. And there's our watercolor effect. I think I'm getting pretty good at the watercolor stuff. I do say so myself. And this is annoying right here. Oh gosh, I'm using the smudge tool. Big mistake. Okay, yeah, there we go. Rather liking it when we change the background color to the kind of final color. Starts looking a lot more like a legit map, a legit painting. I mean, oh, we do have this interesting brush here. Wonder. Well, it's not exactly watercolor, is it? In any other situation, maybe it would work. Just like a whoop, like that. Anyway, that's the idea that we want, but it's gonna have to happen a different way. Since we want the watercolor look committed, I think I can pull it off. Let me just start painting and see what happens. You have to bear with me, it's gonna look strange at first. Well, it might look strange after I'm done too, we'll see. And basically just going to too big. Chisel these into actual little leafy blobs. So we can split up into two pieces. Let's do that more often, actually. Yeah, this is good. If we change this to a pink color, this will read as a sakura tree rather well, I think. In fact, let's do that now, just for fun. Oh, how about that? Pretty cool. I mean, technically they're like really big petals, considering that tree's behind this building. But it's a painting, and paintings get to break the rules sometimes. They're like clumps of petals, that's what they are. And we could probably just clone these a couple of times if we want more. Probably not so close to each other. We want an artistic balance. Okay, it's nice, it's nice. Okay, and after that little adventure to petals, we will return to our building outlining. Okay, not bad. We're very nearly finished here. I am still planning on going out to eat something today in 20 minutes. So I got another, in fact I might give it exactly 12 minutes to go, just so it's an even 2-hour stream. Just for a neat, tidy replay. Wasn't the most exciting stream, I know. But when we pick it up tomorrow to finish this thing off, I think it'll be rather fun. Maybe the same time tomorrow. Maybe it's Tuesday tomorrow. We'll see. I'll post on Twitter what my plans are anyway. But it has been fun. And I do like where we're getting with this. I wonder if we can better communicate stilts here, because in my mind this is like a little shrine, and they're always on like a raised platform. I guess that's pretty good, isn't it? Just need to reduce the squareness of the brush lines. We can put a step here. In fact, maybe that's all we need is a step line. We'll see. I like it the way it is right now. Might come back to it later. This roof, I only noticed it now, but this roof is really quite odd. In fact, some of these roofs are rather odd. I wonder if we should go for a square roof like this instead. One small building, I know. That's not a bridge, is it? That was just a ridge. So as a rule, I think I'm not drawing in the base of these cliffs. We'll see. Like right here, it's just implied. I think that'll work. It does depend. Yeah, I think it does work. I wonder how this looks just without this. Pretty interesting. That's a nice little watercolor smudge we got there. Now I have to actually get these bridge shapes right like perspective-wise. Guess we almost got it the first time, just kind of Control Z it until it works. I guess that's pretty good. Give it kind of an ink welling at the end so it looks like a pen drew it. These are just going to kind of disappear into the down here. This just want to be here. This one here is an exceptionally large bridge, isn't it? So this whole trail area here, my hope is that this makes sense without this. It kind of does. This layer here, I think that was probably a mistake. Since this kind of foreground background split is not nearly enough to warrant going from black to white right here. It makes it look like there's a big gap between the face and this reach here. Maybe that's not a bad thing. Okay, it's looking pretty good, everyone. I think this is a good place to call it a day on this map. Plenty else to do today. If you're a fan of the ice temple we worked on a few weeks ago, that's going to be publicly released later today on my website. You'll see a link on Twitter or Facebook, wherever you choose to follow me. Yeah, big free ice temple map there. That's a lot of fun. So that'll be up later today. Otherwise, I'm just going to be working on the token editor and some other fun stuff. We're going to pick up this map again tomorrow or the next day. I'll post an announcement on Twitter, so please do follow if you want to tune in for that one. Otherwise, thanks everyone for joining me today, and have a good one. And I'm going to go have some coffee so I can speak like a normal, regular human being. So, thank you, and see you next time.